All right, what is up, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer from Blue and Gold with our football analyst Tim Hyde. I seriously feel like, Tim, I am on this computer looking at your face every single day. I mean, it's like Saturday feels like a blink, like it was just a moment ago, but here we are. We are a day early. I apologize about I tried to tweet it out earlier today to let people know, but for folks, we are, usually live on Wednesday nights, but Tim had an obligation, so we moved it up. But yeah, Tim, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. It's funny you say that. My wife was just saying that 20 minutes ago. Like, didn't you just talk to Singer on live? I was like, yeah, that was game day, sweetie. It's been a few days, but they all start to blend together as the season gets rocking.
Yeah, for sure. So I hope everyone's doing well. Expecting a good group tonight as always. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Tom. Jake R says, I sense chaos is about to ensue in the chat. So our Wednesday show, usually, of course, now it's Tuesday today, but it's been a blend of recruiting in the football team. It's just shifted to football because there's always so much to talk about with the team, and it's not as busy with recruiting. We're actually planning to have our first Notre Dame football recruiting show with Trey Yanity, who's just like this awesome YouTube host for college football on our On3 network, and me. And so that'll be Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So that'll be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys check that out. And so going back to the Wednesday night show, it's like a blend of team and recruiting. Now it's just team. And it's like a little bit looking back at last week and a little bit looking forward to this week. We're just talking 100% quarterbacks today. That's really all we're going to talk about, unless the chat has something else they want to, drop a super chat with and ask us, or something's really good going on in the chat, or I guess really bad for that matter, and we can talk about that. But Tim, we first will go to, of course, the best thing you saw in the past week. What was that, Tim?
Oh, best thing I saw, since there's nothing to talk about from Saturday, right? But no, the best thing I saw was what you're just talking about, recruiting. Mr. Mike Singer went down to St. Louis and watched some really, really good football players, play each other, right? You had Mr. Wingo play Mr. Love, and the film, Love is electric. That guy is one heck of a running back, and kudos to you in your article. I love the interview you did with his father. After they took an unofficial, the whole family this weekend, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I loved what the dad had to say, and just parlaying that onto the film. The film that you posted on your Twitter feed was nice. I know you sent me a nice picture, and it's like, this guy, his senior film is better than the film from last year. He looks shiftier, looks a little bigger. This guy's gotten legit over the last couple of years. So a big time target, as you post right there in your article. So that was my best of the week, seeing some really good football players down there in St. Louis.
Yeah, so Tim's talking about there Jeremiah Love, a big-time 2023 running back. So I was in St. Louis watching him and his teammate Jeremiah McClellan, 2024 receiver. They both scored 2 touchdowns apiece. The other side is Ryan Wingo, big-time 2024 receiver as well. He caught 2 touchdowns in the game. So like a few hours after the game ended, I guess Love got a couple hours of sleep, and then the family drove over to South Bend. I was like writing this article up that YouTube audience can see on the screen. And I posted this video literally right at kickoff. So this has been our worst performing YouTube video in quite some time. That's up on the screen right now with me, at the Christian Brothers game. But you can see some of the clips, and yeah, Jeremiah Love, he was fantastic. They don't run him a ton. I think he had like 9 or 10 carries on the night. You think if they need some easy touchdowns, they just give him the ball. Here was a touchdown run. I mean, just the change of direction, the cutback, the speed, the vision, patience he runs with as well.
4 different cuts there, Mike. 4 different.
This one was like, okay, that's Marshawn Lynch.
Yes.
I mean, just get off of me, child. That's what that one looked like. So, yeah, definitely.
Good football player.
He is outstanding. So you can find this article at Blue and Gold, but the video I would definitely recommend. Go to our YouTube page and find that.
Well, real quick off of that, Mike, talk about the Christian Gray. He was on campus too this weekend, right? So it was like St. Louis. I know you posted about Wingo. It's coming back.
Yes.
Down the road, and just the same. I mean, how about that tweet? Just St. Louis in general. It seems like that's been a really good hotbed for Notre Dame lately.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna give you a little teaser, Tim.
I love it.
In YouTube audience, I texted a source. I was like, "Hey, I mean, I think I think Notre Dame should do like a I didn't say Fantastic Four, but like a St. Louis 4 graphic."
I love it
because Gray is recruiting all three of these. The St. Louis football community is very small. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone's grew up playing Pop Warner together or whatever it is. So these guys all know each other, and Gray really wants to get all these two guys together. I know. Maybe a parent or two of one of these players is also wanting this quartet of Wingo, McClellan, Love, and Gray, who's already committed to Notre Dame, to all play together. Yeah, pretty neat. I don't know if my suggestion was actually heard or this was just a coincidence, but I would like to think that,
No, that when that tweet came out, and I know Christian Gray after the game, because people are like, "Oh, all these recruits are going to leave," and what did he post? Like 1,000,000% or whatever it was. Like, I'm locked in. I'm going to ND, and then this comes out, and some of the comments is just great. It's great because they're St. Louis, that Catholic league down there. They got some dudes down there, so it's a heck of a recruiting base, and Notre Dame's just been slowly building that the last few years.
Here's what he tweeted: 100. Yeah, 1,000,000%. I don't know if you can be 1,000,000% locked in, but
we'll take it. We'll take it out. We'll take it.
You'll take it. All right. Well, folks, please drop a thumbs up on this video if you like what we're doing here at Blue and Gold, which I definitely hope that you do, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not yet. And blueandgold.com, $1 for 1 year of premium access. Good bit of recruiting content coming up this week, and official visitor on campus, 4-star receiver Tayshawn Lyons this weekend for the Cal game. So he's a Northern California kid, and the Irish are playing a Northern California school. So that I think will be interesting. But Tim,
love it.
Tyler Buchner out for the season. I saw when Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback, got hurt. Mm-hmm. Same exact kind of tackle.
Yeah,
it's like when the quarterback falls on his shoulder, then you see them slide a couple yards on that shoulder. Ooh, not good. And Ewers is, I think, out for a month. Buckner's, was much worse sprain or whatever the medical word was, but out for the season.
No, big blow. I mean, as soon as he went down and you saw him on TV holding that thing there, first thing was like, well, he's not playing against Cal. I mean, that was, I'm not a doctor and whatnot, but when I've been around enough football players to know when a shoulder popped out and whatnot. And obviously it's a non-throwing one, which is great. But yeah, when the official word came out on Monday during Marcus Freeman's press conference, it's a killer. It's a killer for him because of he's injured. He missed his sophomore season in high school, had the All-American junior year, and then his senior year taken from COVID. And obviously, even last year he got hurt. He had the hammy, couldn't suit up for the Wisconsin game. So then the spring game, whatever happened with the sprained ankle after seeing a professor or something, and now this for the whole season, it's a killer for him because there's going to be just a million things going to happen between this Cal game and the next time we see Tyler Buchner. There's going to be a lot to take in between now and then. So really feel bad for him. I like him. I think he's such a dynamic guy. We could complain about the offense and what Buchner should run in the offense and whatnot, but he's out, and it's a killer for Notre Dame because he was the guy. But it's time to regroup, rally, and it's all on Drew Pine and Mr. Stephen Jelly because those two guys are the next two to come in and get ready to roll.
Yeah, Tim, my feeling on this was, and I'm sure you agreed with this, was if he can throw the ball well and this passing offense can get going down the field, they're not going to have to rely on him in the running game as much. Maybe, scrambling, obviously, and a read option here and there. But I don't think Tommy Rees wanted Tyler Buckner to be the focal point of the rushing attack, and he did end up doing that with 13 carries for 44 net yards, and he gained a 52's 8 yards a loss because of sacks. But Tim, Notre Dame couldn't throw the ball very well. I mean, Buckner was 18 of 32 for 201 yards, not terrible. 56% completions, also threw 2 picks, of course, but they just had to keep running them, and he got hurt on the designed run. And it's kind of a guy with injury history. You're just kind of, playing with fire there. And unfortunately, Notre Dame got burnt, for the lack of a better term.
Well, you said it perfectly in your first sentence right there was, the deep balls. I mean, they have gone deep a handful of times without any luck whatsoever. I mean, you look at the play right before halftime, it's like he's wide open for a walk-in touchdown. Boom, you're up, you got the lead at halftime, all those good things, and they miss it. There's the one deep one to Styles as well in Ohio State. They miss it. A handful in this game as well where they just missed it. And I even go back to the one series where, on the Patterson, when Jared Patterson goes the false start, they got the lead. It's 15-12. It's 3rd and 3. Patterson false starts. Notre Dame has to take a timeout because the miscommunication was not on. And then it's 3rd and 8. Lindsey runs by his guy. He's got 8 yards on that corner, and Buckner throws an out route. It's like, just throw it up, touchdown, you win the game. So always, every time there was some form of a deep concept, a deep route, they were missing. I remember when we were texting, me, you, and Mike Goolsby, on the deep Ben route to Mayer, when I texted, oh, you got to hit that. He was so open. That would have been a 25, 30-yard some odd gain to Mayer. He was inaccurate with the deep balls down the field in the pocket. And it cost him. Going back to your point, you start getting 8 men, 9 men. Every time Notre Dame had 2 tight ends next to each other, you got 9 in the box because no one was scared of Tyler Buckner completing a deep ball. And it showed over those 2 games. And we talked about it. Everyone's always mentioned it. Buckner's dynamic, all those things. But he's one play away. And I think everyone expected at some point to see Drew Pine or Stephen Jelly, whatever, takes place down the road. No one expected it to happen in the 4th quarter of game 2.
Yeah. It should be noted. It's not all, we're not blaming this all on Buckner. It's Jaden Thomas is not getting separation, even though that long ball was before the half. Buckner could have thrown it better. Lindsey still could have made a play, So it's offensive line could give Tyler more time. So there's a lot that goes into. It's not just Buckner missing passes. I do want to also mention, this is just really a quarterback show. So if you don't like talking about quarterbacks, this isn't the show for you. But who doesn't like quarterback discussion, or
especially Notre Dame, and especially when the backup's in getting ready to go for his first start. This is going to be Drew Pine's first start. Yeah. So we saw him in relief last year, played really well in those 2 games. Now it's his show moving forward.
Yeah. So Susan just asked what time's the presser tonight with Reese. It's not on live or anything. So Patrick Engel and Tyler Horka will have coverage of that. Like, it's not like, I think it's more of like a media scrum around a table rather than a true press conference.
Yes.
So if you're with us live, you can drop a super chat. If you're watching back or obviously listen back via podcast, you can't drop a super chat with a question. I do believe we added a feature on our YouTube channel that you can give us a thanks. It's just, it's kind of like a super chat, but not live. So you can feel free if you want to support the channel there as well. You're very welcome, Susan. So Tim, yeah, I think that kind of covers the Tyler Buckner portion. I'm sure we will still discuss him as the show goes on, but we're gonna talk more about Drew Pine. He's the next man up and the starting quarterback. I'm also going to play. I got about 6.5 minutes of footage that I compiled back, I think, after fall camp or spring ball last year. So I hope it comes through and it's clean visuals for our YouTube audience. So let me know in the chat if it's choppy and I should just turn it off. But yeah, Tim. So let's talk a little Drew Pine and watch some of his practice film. So yeah, Drew Pine. I know you rewatched the Cincy and
Yes.
Wisconsin snaps that Pine took.
Yeah. I went back as soon as this was official, and he's the guy, kind of like you said, no disrespect to Tyler Buckner and whatnot, but you're in the season. It's who's next. Right. Someone's got to play, they're not getting a bye week here, take it easy and prep guys. You're working, going 24/7, getting these guys ready. And it's Drew Pine. He's going to be the next one in. He's obviously been there for a few years, been in the system with Tommy Rees, was recruited by Tommy Rees. And then last year, for as much as Tyler Buckner played, obviously he was their run game quarterback. They had the special packages for him. When Jack Cohn was injured, when Jack Cohn was, couldn't go, they put in Pine. And Pine goes in there, threw some nice balls, had a good little rally in the Wisconsin game. Obviously, the kickoff return and the pick six after pick six by the Notre Dame defense helped. But Pine went in there and just had some really nice drives. Beautiful slant for a touchdown to Kevin Austin. And then he rallied Notre Dame in the Cincinnati game when it was just, Jack Cohn was horrible in that first half, and Buckner threw a pick in that game as well. It's 17-0. He comes in and gets two outstanding touchdown drives. And I don't think he did a lot bad for a backup and watching the Cincinnati game. I'm not saying he's, Brady Quinn, Jimmy Clausen by no means, but he came in and played really good. He competed, and it's so funny. I mentioned the Buckner Lenzy. They had the same thing in the Cincinnati game. Lenzy's running free. Pine throws an out route to nobody. So whatever that call is, I've seen it 2 years in a row. It's like, figure out what that is, because Lenzy's running streaks while quarterbacks are throwing outs. And if it's streaks, it's touchdowns. But I was impressed. I'm impressed because people, obviously, it just feels like it's Pitchfork Nation out there. And it's just, we're not going to win a game. Let's just get ready for 2023. Hey, Notre Dame's had some injuries in the past. Heck, his quarterback coach, the offensive coordinator, let's don't forget, has come in games. 2010, Tommy Rees is a freshman, went 5-0 to finish the season and got a bowl win at the end of the year. So all is not lost. I think they're going to put together a nice little package. And Mike Pine does things different than Tyler Buckner. So we're going to see a heck of a lot of that against Cal, because Cal has a really good defense.
Tim, as a football coach, is there something to Pine has come in and not mop up duty.
Yeah.
Pitch. What's the baseball term?
Relief pitcher.
Relief pitcher. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tim. Is there something to that? Now he's the starter. There's a little bit different pressure instead of just coming in and just being like, all right, no, there's no time to think about messing up. You just go out there and it's time to perform.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I know people have been down on Pine. I get it. As a guy who's a coach, I mean, the guy's been on the field hanging out, chilling for 3 hours and 15 minutes. Buckner gets hurt and say, hey, we need 2 touchdowns, Pine. So I get that. Like, Pine didn't look sharp. Yeah, he didn't look sharp, but look at the situation and whatnot. So,
but I'm saying he did look sharp last year against Wisconsin and Cincinnati. It's just different expectations now, because now you're the starter.
Yeah. And
now he's got a whole week to think about this rather than just being thrown in there and let your instincts take over. Is there something to that, or is that just made up media talk?
They give it a little both, but maybe more media talk. It's like, number one, he's at Notre Dame. Drew Pine is at Notre Dame. He had a heck of a lot of scholarship offers. He's at Notre Dame. Tommy Rees has been with him for a few years. And the best thing that Drew Pine could do sitting down and watching film this week is his own position coach has been in this exact situation before. Dane Chris goes out, boom, he replaces him. Chris obviously gets hurt again in 2011. Rees was there. 2012, Rees was benched. Let's not forget, for Everett Golson. And then in 13, it's the Tommy Rees show. So I don't know. There's something about Pine, I know our good friend Mike Goolsby, with the half shirt, that's his little cockiness, his little swag he likes to play with. There's something about him, and maybe, does that rub off on the team? I hope it rubs off on the team, because they need to rally their butts off for him. When you're playing a backup quarterback the rest of the way, the defense needs to tighten up. The O-line needs to tighten up. And these wide receivers just need to battle their butt off and get open a heck of a lot more than they have. So, but I think he's got a really good quick release. And watching going back to the Cincinnati film, it's funny. I was looking at my notes. I keep notes from every game. Got a big old folder. And the notes that I wrote down, I was reading last night, was really, really accurate underneath. Short, quick game. Maybe they do more RPOs with him. And when I say RPOs, it's more of the play action fake and the release, where Buckner was the run game. So, when I say RPOs, it's always the power, the inside look as he's looking outside, reading a certain coverage. With Buckner, the RPOs was more, I'm going to run it or throw it on the when he's out there on the perimeter.
Tim, this video we've been playing, I still hope YouTube audience, let me know if
it's sharp.
Still okay. So yeah. He's completing 100% of his passes. I mean, he looks freaking like Tom Brady and Joe Montana had a child. Like, he looks fantastic. So, we got a super chat. N.E. Davis says it's pine time. Nick, where have you been, bro? Nick, where have you been? I haven't seen you on Blue and Gold. I haven't seen you on our YouTube forever, Nick. I missed you. Where the heck are you? He just shows up when is that the end of the video? Look at that, 6.5 minutes. Nick just shows up when Pine starts. Thank you for the super chat though.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, I was gonna say is exactly it is Pine's time, and he's the next one in there. So I look at it. I know I texted you earlier. I was like, all right, no more whining, no more complaining. You got to rally the troops. You do. And Freeman's got to rally these guys. I think offensively, and rewatching the two games, especially Marshall, there's literally a couple plays, like one block away from a huge touchdown run if Buckner keeps it. There's one play where, what's his name? Diggs, where Diggs gets tackled for loss. If Buckner's shoulders were just turned the proper way, he probably throws a bubble, and it's covered against cover zero. You get a block and you could go. So there's been a handful of things, and I think Marcus Freeman's kind of alluded to this as well with the O-line coming off blocks a little too early. It's like, be way more patient and stay on things. Stay on the damn down guys longer. If they stay on the front four longer as they're blocking, they're going to get more yards. They are coming off a little bit too early, which was the same issue under that guy named Jeff Quinn last year that they were having. So hopefully they could get that fixed. But yeah, it's Pine time. He's the guy. And you can't sit and complain. He's at Notre Dame. He's the quarterback. I think he could rally these guys, and they got a schedule that's tailor-made still to get a bunch of wins out there. I truly believe that.
Folks, if you're just joining us, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you have not yet, and drop super chat if you have any questions you want answered by myself or Tim Hyde right away. I got a couple more things about Pine before we move on to talking about my boy, Steve Angeli.
Really?
My hair's a little messed up in the back here. Don't make fun of me, folks. Tim, we talk a lot, right? We talk about every day, just chit-chatting, as you like to say over text message. This is a new optimism about Drew Pine. Are you just really glass half full right now and kind of change your tune? Don't BS me, Tim. What are you thinking?
Yeah, number one, you have to be. You just can't sit there and just.
No, you don't. No, you don't have to be optimistic.
Oh no, but you know what? I am. Like I said, I went back and watched the games. I was like, okay, because the last time we saw Drew Pine was the spring game, right? And he was bad. He was horrible. Everyone's like, oh my God, I hope he transfers. People are talking about Steve Angeli as the second stringer, coming out of spring. But then you got to take a deep breath and be like, the dude played both sides. Buckner slips out of a professor meeting, right? And he's running back and forth going all that. Was he great? No. The 15th practice at spring, and he's got to play both sides until Angeli took over in Paulus. So I'm not saying he's far from Jimmy Clausen. He ain't no Brady Quinn. He is a backup for a reason.
Tim, I feel like your reasoning about the spring games, what I said, and you were not having any of it. If I recall, maybe that was Goolsby.
You did say that. Me, I agreed with you. I thought he was bad, but I understood
Okay.
a lot of the reasonings for that because the dude,
All right.
I mean, come on. I was laughing during that. The guy's, I mean, how many times did you see him? He's throwing the wristband to go put another one on because he had to play for two different coaches in that game with two different wristbands. So I know you were definitely correct in the spring game. Like, do not judge Drew Pine off of a spring game where he's playing all over the darn place.
I don't know, Tim. I've been correct a lot here lately. I feel like on the Buckner thing, I was right about like everything, and this never happens. But I feel like I called a lot on Buckner.
But real quick before we turn the tables and obviously talk about Angeli and the future of QB is, I think you have to be full because he can do some things. He has shown it in games. Okay. I mean, he played against Wisconsin, and he played in a top 10 game in the second half where he went out there and competed his butt off is what he did. So I'm thinking, obviously, as a coach, deep breath. Hopefully Tommy Rees takes out some of these checks, some of these sight adjustments that they do with the wide receiver, which is shown in some games. They're just off. They really are. I hope they're like, let's just call routes and you dudes run the routes. And this is the call, Drew Pine, figure it out. I hope, I knock on wood, Notre Dame gets out of 12 personnel. I just do. I don't think the tight end blocking has been nails. And if they are going to do 12 personnel, just have a hip tight end, not an inline guy, a guy that they can motion and bomb in. I would start playing Stays and Raritan more just to get them interlocking. And I would just make Michael Mayer just a wide receiver the rest of the year. Slot, boundary, trips, whatever you want to do. And let Drew Pine have different windows, true windows, and a true 2x2, a 3x1 sets to where he could read better.
I just realized I forgot to mention my best thing of the week. We're gonna get to that in just a second, but first, I gotta pay some bills. So, do want to mention that it's time to hear from one of our new sponsors, and that is my favorite. It's like my favorite people in the world right now is over at a Rogue Shop. So let me tell you guys a little bit about Rogue Shop in just a second because Mike Singer's struggling here. I'm forgetting my my best thing to read, and this is just I'm on the struggle bus today. Okay, Singer's ducks in a row. Okay, here we go. Time here for one of our sponsors. It is a husband and wife outfit. Now for YouTube audience, we have the their website up, and it'll pop up. See down in the left-hand corner. This is Charmaine, the owner. They are always available for a chat. At least every time I've been on there, they're always willing to answer questions, and they are just fantastic. So husband-wife outfit, Mr. Rogue and his wife Char are craft cannabis farmers who specialize in small batch, sustainable plant medicine, a true holistic type of small business. They farm it and grow it all themselves, everything by hand, and their website, which again, YouTube audience, you see it on the screen, rogueshop.com. There's products that will give you, that high, that euphoria, but there's a lot more to it. I think there's something for everybody. Their products have been known to help with anything from stress, anxiety, chronic pain, insomnia. If you have a question about products, jump on the live chat and they'll get you steered in the right direction. I received a box of product and Char had a handwritten note for me to explain everything. Guys, their goal is holistic healing, making your life better. If you suffer from stress, insomnia, it reduces inflammation, anxiety, mood disorders. They have topicals that are great for pain in specific areas. So young, old, different stages of life, rogueshop.com, these folks will help you out. So when you write as many articles as I do, Tim, you're doing these shows all the time, you need a good night to sleep. And when that sleep cycle comes, these Rogue Shop products help me out. So rogueshop.com, and folks, we do have if you're a Blue and Gold listener, which obviously all of you are, if you use promo code Blue and Gold, you get 10% off your order. So again, folks, rogueshop.com.
A couple of my notes real quick off that there, Mike. I wrote, these are my notes from last year with Drew Pine. Very comfortable in trips. Tommy Reese used multiple motions. You could for Pine to identify coverages. So you want to see more of that. And then right here, he's got better feet than Jack Cohn. I mean, that was an obvious, right? But he could scramble. He's got a little of that Ian Bookish to him. And, we had multiple years with Ian Book. So he has a little bit of the book where he can scramble, which he had a couple scramble runs last year in the games that he got in, and a nice one against Cincinnati to extend the drive. So there is some positives, shows intensity, showed leadership out there. So those are all things and just taking notes. This is a year ago when he got out there and played. So rally the troops. That's got to be the goal for Mr. Freeman and Tommy Reese now.
When you said you had notes, I was like, is this a Rogue Shop notes? Like you taking notes about Rogue Shop? Here is the letter that Shar, the owner, wrote me. I mean, like, so
love it.
Yeah, so they are very hands-on, help out. I love it. I'm excited, and they have they at least have one customer in me. So okay. Susan says Mike has been right about Buckner. I liked him in the Ohio State game, but I just don't feel very confident about him throwing the football downfield. And and he's electric as a runner, but the more you run him, the more likely he's going to get hurt. And I obviously didn't foresee him being out for the season after 2 games, but that's where we are.
And this is going to be a pattern.
Let's see how he fares with Steve Angeli. Angeli's my boy. Tim, let me get to my
sure.
Best thing I saw this week. I want to get your thoughts on this. Manti Te'o returning to Notre Dame this weekend for the game against California, reports Blue and Gold's Tyler Horka. I haven't watched. Have you watched any of the Netflix documentary, Tim?
I watched the first part. It's really, I got to finish the second part. I watch too much football at night, but I watched the first part. It's good. I mean, I love Manti Te'o. The dude was unbelievable to watch. I remember when he committed and it was live and all that stuff. And when it broke all over the place, it was huge, beyond huge. Because I was really close to, some of the coaches at USC. A close friend of mine is coaching there. That's with Pete Carroll up in Seattle to this day. And they always thought he was a USC lock. So, that was huge. So now I'm excited. He's coming back, since all this is broke. He did come back for the big green game. I think the Stanford game in 2018, a lot of, the Brian Kelly guys, since the old guys never showed up, but the Brian Kelly NFL guys showed up. I think that was the Stanford game, the first big green out. No, it was Michigan, excuse me. Okay. Michigan, the kickoff 2018. Yep. It was Michigan. And Manti Te'o and a bunch of the old dudes were back. So I'm glad he's coming back. He's going to do his speech, which I guess they're hyping this up now, Mike, the victory march after the Basilica. I'm not a fan of it. I'm old school. Go to mass is play football. Now they're going to mass, pep rally football. Ugh. But that's just me. Some people may like it. I don't like it.
Say that pep rally's Friday. Just do that.
I know.
I'm kind of with you.
Go play ball. Ask Mike Goolsby next time, when you chat with him, how he would do Basilica, pep rally. Now go play Mike Backer and do go Phil against Michigan in 2004 on the ISO. Yeah. How would that go?
Okay. Super chat, Tom McGuire. Really appreciate this. He says, why aren't we seeing Tyree out in the slot? He's a game changer. I mean, I have to agree. Tyree's a consistent pass catcher. You could do different things with them. Yeah. Jet sweeps out of the slot. Heck, you could do something where you bring him in motion for a reverse, all sorts of things that with Chris in slot. If we're picking between him and Jaden Thomas, love Jaden Thomas, but I'm taking Tyree. If they're not going to play him a ton of running back, why wouldn't you put him in the slot? It's not like Notre Dame's super deep at some of these receiver positions.
That goes back to that weird comment Freeman made after Ohio State. We got 3 running backs, 3 packages. And I'm like, I've never understood that, because you saying, so that's the DC. Oh, Logan Diggs is in. These are the 3 things they're going to run. Tyree's in. All jet sweeps or a screen, whatever it is. So, yeah, I've never understood that. Tyree up the slot. Can he be a slot? Is he a Kyron Williams? Is he a good receiver? I don't see why they wouldn't do that a ton. And then you flex Mare out. You got Styles. Obviously, Lindsey, and whatnot. But yeah, the total stats, the total touches by Chris Tyree, who
got it up on the screen here.
Top 100 running back. It's year 3. The whole summer we heard about how he looked bigger in his legs, and it really worked out. All those things. Was one of the workout warriors.
12 offensive touches, 9 rushes,
Exactly.
3 catches.
Exactly. And a couple of those were at the end of the Ohio State half, right? Where they're just running the ball, killing the clock. So it's like, I mean, first off, number one, they don't have a lot of offensive plays. So let's get that in. There's not like they're huddling like crazy, killing clock. They did a little bit of tempo in Marshall, which actually worked. Why they don't do more tempo, which I hope they do with Pine, and just let Pine just be a true shotgun, read the field quarterback and go fast, and let him do that. They huddle way too much for 2022. They should be going faster, way more. I mean, that's this NFL mentality and Tommy Rees, and let's huddle and call plays, kill 35 seconds off the clock. What the heck, man? Let's go. They're letting the defenses confident, have checks, have calls, all those things. And I hope they get away from some of that and do a hell of a lot more tempo moving forward.
Okay, Jack, we'll get to your super chat in a moment, but one more thing about Pine before we move into talk a little Steve Angeli. Tom asks, what kind of offense would Notre Dame put in for Pine? My thought is, I think Reese will make it just a simple. I don't think, like with Buckner, it's like, what is the offense? No offensive identity. Is like, are we an Oregon of a decade ago run the football with the quarterback and get the ball out in space? Like, are we a power team? Like, what the heck is this offense? We still don't know. I think with Pine, it's going to be a little bit more simplified, and I think that's going to be good.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a bunch of Ian Book type stuff. I think we're going to see him scramble. May see a quarterback ISO. Is the main quarterback run may just be a QB ISO with him in one back. He's going to scramble. He's going to scramble a heck of a lot, I feel, because he's short. So, you got some mountains in front of him. So he's going to scramble and have to find little windows. Type of offense I would run. I just don't think Notre Dame, I think Notre Dame is wasting so much of itself constantly being in 2 tight ends. As I said Saturday night after the show, like, to be tight end you don't have to play multiple tight ends. They have Michael Mayer is going to go to the NFL. If Bauman's the guy next year or Reardon's the guy next year or stays, one of them's going to the NFL. So tight end you is not dying. And I just hope they just play one, and either Tyree is the other slot, and you get Styles and Lindsey more outside and utilize some things of that nature. When I say 12 personnel, it's not so much Bauman at tight end and Mayer at slot. I'm talking when there's 2 next to each other. They have done that a lot this year. And it ain't rocket science, man. When you do that, everyone plays quarters man. Lock up on the outsides and put 9 in the box and say Notre Dame beat us up top. And going to your point 30 minutes ago, Notre Dame hasn't been able to hit anyone up top yet this year. And it's killed the offense.
So Jack says, I have no faith in Pine. Let the freshman play. Goolsby is often like, if things are equal, play the younger guy. You have to give Pine a shot, right? I mean, this is not a game of Madden where like Pine has 78 overall and Angeli is 74.
Yeah.
So I might as well play the younger guy to get his stats up. This is real life. Like, this is not a video game. Like, these are real people. You have to give Pine a chance, right?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I said to a good friend today, it's like Freeman needs to start looking at this like he just got drafted in the NFL. How do I get the second contract? I mean, seriously, how do I get the second contract? So he's not going to play some guy who just got there a little while ago and led walk-ons out in the 4th quarter of the spring game. No, he's not going to throw him out there unless he is truly ready. But we all know Pine was getting 50-50 reps with Buckner, spring, all of camp, all those things up until, a couple of weeks ago. So no, this is Pine's show. If he goes out there and falters and, throws 4 picks, and it's like Angeli goes out there and he's the freshman superstar, fine. Freeman and this program need to win, and they're going to do whatever in the heck is possible to win a damn football game. That's what they need to do. And at this moment in time this week, Drew Pine gives them the best option.
Yep. Joey says that watch some of Singer's video of Angeli in high school.
Yeah.
True QB, his arms money. So I figured, let's pop on a video that I took of Angeli. This is just a single game, and I hope it comes through and the audio, the video's clean. But yeah. What do you think of Angeli as a player? Break down his game, Sam. Just if Notre Dame does have to go that route.
I mean, we talked about him a ton last year, like absolute amazing disrespect. That's what, I'm not, once again, I'm not saying he's top 10 quarterback in the country or, he's a good high school quarterback who played for a national powerhouse, won a lot of games in one of the, premier Catholic leagues in the United States. And he's ranked 600 and something. I never understood that. I think he's a good football player. You've met him. How big is he? He looks solid. Like he's not, Drew Pine looks short. When Pine's out there, he looks like he's 5'10". I don't know, Pine, what he officially is listed at, but he's 6 foot 5'11", where it looks like Angeli's a little bit taller, good looking shoulders. Angeli is a heck of to me, if he's in the game, play action. That's where I like I call it the Clemson, Ohio State offense from Urban Meyer with the tight end hip motioning, play action in things of that nature. A lot what the Rams do, which, Sean McVay's high on Tommy Rees, run a bunch of those type of plays with the tight end. I think he'd be a hell of a play action guy, really good out passer. I always liked him as a quarterback. Is he a game changer? Is he an NFL superstar down the road? Who knows? But he is not the 600th best player in the country last year. I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah,
Pine is. There's no shot. He's 6 foot.
No,
he's he's about 5'11". Angeli, it's weird because when you see him in person, he looks bigger than 6'2". He's listed at 6'2". His dad's about 6'7". I don't know. I think Angeli could be done growing. But if he could get up to solid 6'3" or 6'4", boy, he throws a really nice ball. He's athletic. This is what I said when he was in high school. Said, think Drew Pine, but taller. That's what I always said because he's got all that accuracy, the moxie to him. Very smart, accurate as heck. So yeah,
And I'm a huge fan of guys coming from powerhouses, guys that are used to winning, guys that are used to getting coached hard.
17-1 as a starter.
What, 17-1? He's good. He's a good football player. Where Notre Dame, see, that's the thing. Notre Dame, they just missed. It's not like they've gone out there and just laying eggs and throwing picks all over and running backs fumbling and all that stuff. That hasn't been the case. They've just missed plays. It's really what it is. So they're not throwing the ball in the stands. They've missed plays. And I don't think me personally, that a lot of the offensive calls haven't matched what they're seeing. It's like you're seeing sometimes 9 men in the box. You can't run inside zone against 9 in the box. And especially Marshall a couple of times sliced the guys off the edge and there's no one blocking it. You gotta spread teams out because no one's going to respect you until you start hitting the ball. Notre Dame's got it. They got to hit some of these.
Yeah. So Joe asks, do you see a Jack Cohn, Tyler Buckner swap out situation? I'd say heck no. I don't think there's any point. Cohn and Buckner are opposites at quarterback. Yeah. I just said that Pine is, just a shorter Steve Angeli, with more experience. I don't think so. And then, yeah.
So when
Drew Brees might have been listed at 6 foot, but that's the exception. That's not the rule. So.
Like Russell Wilson. Yeah, there's always a handful of those. But you've seen Angeli. Does he have more zip? Because that's going back to watching Drew Pine, the under stuff, the out routes, the intermediate stuff. I always felt like Pines get rid of that ball really quick.
I think that Pine's got a quicker release than Angeli, but I was even at practice in August and I really just watched the quarterback's entire practice. I was like, I posted on the message board and I got crap for it, understandably so. But my job, I'm just to be honest with you guys, and I still get crap for that, but that's fine. I thought Pine and Angeli throw a better ball than Buckner. I never have liked Buckner's release. I don't know if just that practice he was just kind of taking it easy, but just like it just didn't have the velocity on these, just practice reps throwing to a graduate assistant. But I've just always been. I've seen all three of these quarterbacks in person because I covered all of them when they were recruits. I don't know, man. Something we don't need to beat a dead horse on Buckner, but something changed with how he threw the football from his junior year of high school when he accounted for 81 touchdowns to, going into Notre Dame. Something changed. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
even on the one, there's a first down pass where ended up being a first down on a third down pass to Jaden Thomas where Thomas is open. Remember that great catch? They thought, oh, did that hit the ground? Great catch by Jaden Thomas, but the ball was just coming down into the dirt. Sometimes Buckner would have that issue where that ball would dip sometimes with Buckner.
Tim, sometimes I feel like you switch up, man.
I'm not switching up.
You are a huge Buckner guy. Don't switch
I love Buckner.
up.
I'm just talking about his passes. He's not Jimmy Clausen. All right, the best quarterback I've seen at Notre Dame in ages was 2009 Jimmy Clausen. Notre Dame has not had any of that. Notre Dame quarterback play has been average. And this is going to go to when we start talking about quarterback recruiting, what is going on at Notre Dame, all those things. But I like Buckner. If I had Tyler Buckner, this is the one thing I've never understood. And we said it the other night as well. Like, I just never understood why they didn't just do a true spread the damn football field, empties, whatever, motions with empty, and just run true. RPO is all over the place with him. Why are they doing an NFL style two backs, type of stuff with Tyler Buckner? It's not his game. It's not his game.
That's the talent in the team is running backs and tight ends and not receivers.
Yeah, but they still have a couple wide receivers. You don't need, when has Notre Dame ever played 8 receivers in a game? Never. So they still have some receivers. Are they Michael Floyd, Golden Tate, Chase Claypool? No, far from it. But they're still really good. Styles is a good football player. That's the other thing. Lindsey's in his 5th year. Is it him running the wrong routes, the quarterback? Because he's constantly off as well. So, yes, they're not loaded at receiver, but all things equal, their good friend Mr. Goolsby says, where the hell is Tobias Merriweather? You tell me you can't just throw a fade to a 6'4" guy who runs 4.4? I'm just saying, one time, forget checks for anything. Tobias, get your ass out there and run fade.
I love Tobias Merriweather as much as the next guy, but just think about when's the last time you saw Tobias Merriweather, Tim? Some practice clips from stretching and then the All-American Bowl.
Yeah, I know.
The Notre Dame staff saw him 30 times.
I agree. But sometimes this is what I don't understand. Is Jaden Thomas head and shoulders above Tobias Merriweather?
Let's not go Merriweather. What about Joe Wilkins?
Yeah, but he's been injured. See, this is my thing with Wilkins. He's been injured. So is he fully back? And Joe Wilkins is not. Joe Wilkins has never been a dude at Notre Dame.
Man.
He caught one nice pass at Florida State, and in the COVID game against Duke, caught a couple hitches. Joe Wilkins has never been a dude. He just hasn't.
I think he could be. Neither is Braden Lindsey, but Braden Lindsey's playing all the receiver snaps.
Lindsey's famous for the great touchdown against SC in 19 on the reverse. Outside of that, I don't know. That when I think of Lindsey, I always think of the drop passes. That's what I think of. So the touchdown against Purdue, he drops.
Yeah. Andrew asks, what's the deal with Paulus? Isn't he a junior by now? He's a sophomore. Yeah, he's in Buckner's class. Sophomore.
Yeah, he's with Fisher and Alt's class.
Yeah, he's third string practice quarterback. I don't anticipate him starting any games.
No.
But Andrew,
definitely remember when Nate Montana had to play in was at the Michigan game during one of those years in the Weiss year. So let's don't go there.
All right, Andrew, definitely appreciate the super chat and you supporting the show here. Tom did say, I really like Angeli. Why is he your boy? Tom, I like your suit, by the way. It's a great little laugh you got going on there. Listen, Tom, you must be a little bit newer to the show. I've been a huge Angeli fan going back to his junior year of high school when Notre Dame was recruiting. I'm just always like just dealing with him, the family, what the coaches say about him, just kind of seeing him in person. I saw him in practice his junior year, a game senior year, and then the Under Armour All-America a couple practices, and watched that game on TV. Like, I just thought he was fantastic. I think that the talent evaluators missed one. I've never thought that he's going to be like this, All-American at Notre Dame. Or my thing has been he's just going to impress people. I don't know if he's going to get that shot at Notre Dame or if he, ends up elsewhere. But I think people are just sleeping on Steve Angeli. So that's it.
I bet. Well, I mean, we could all pretty much bet $2 he's playing sometime this year. He's there.
I hope not, because then if Steve Angeli, if God forbid, knock on some wood, Tim. Do you have wood?
Oh, I got a lot of wood. Right here. I got the wife's desk right here. Yes.
If Drew Pine goes down, and then it's Steve Angeli and Ron Paulus. There's no in-season transfer portal. You can't sign. There's no free agency during the football season, so you can't bring in Cam Newton or Colin Kaepernick off the street. I mean, is Cam Newton playing for somebody?
I don't know. I lost track of Cam Newton years ago after he
I don't think he is.
Yeah. But but that goes back to my optimism for this season. This football team is the defense. So this defense needs to rally up and can't give up 95-yard drives back-to-back weeks when the game matters. They can't do it. So
all right.
They can't.
So we have one more thing to discuss, and then we're going to get out of here unless there's any more super chats. Okay. So he's with the Panthers. Thank you, Joe. So he's
still there.
It's hard for me to see Cam Newton as he's back up for his old team. Man, that's good for him. I feel like
paychecks are good in the NFL.
Yeah, but everyone's got an ego and the ego to be a backup for a team you were once an MVP for. So with all of this, let's take a step back and not look at this season. Let's take a whole look at this Notre Dame quarterback situation. Let's just finish out this year. We're going into 2023. You have Tyler Buckner's now a junior. Drew Pine's a senior. Ron Paulus is a junior. Steve Angeli's a sophomore. I don't like to have this conversation that much, but it's something we have to discuss. I don't like projecting what's going to be in 5 months because so much of what's going to happen these next several weeks will determine what happens in the off season. Things like, does Drew Pine transfer or does he just ball out? Notre Dame goes 9-3 or 10-2, and then he's the guy next season. And it's Buckner who goes. Who the heck knows? CJ Carr, there's rumblings, and again, I will have a report on this, blueandgold.com, on Tuesday night, kind of what I'm hearing about this situation. Could Carr reclassify? He can change from a 20, and this is Notre Dame's borderline 5-star quarterback commit in 2024. He could move to 2023. Does Buckner being out for the season, I don't know, Tim, would that change anything for him? Do you think Notre Dame definitely goes to the portal? And then, Tim, I will allow you to have some revisionist history. Did Notre Dame screw up by not getting a portal quarterback for this upcoming season?
Well, number one, obviously, if Marcus Freeman and them, first off, what the heck's going on with 2023 recruiting with quarterbacks, flipping coins? Here it is, the season, 2 games underway, getting ready to host their second home game. They're having visitors, crickets from the quarterback side. So does that mean nothing's really happening out there with quarterback land? Or they just, heck, we got CJ Carr. Let's get him in a headlock and just say, you got to come now. Are they working their tail off to get him to come now? That's the other thing is he was held back, right? One of his years, like Jimmy Clausen was. When Clausen went to Notre Dame, he was a 19-year-old freshman. So if CJ Carr comes in 2024, he'd be the same age bracket when Clausen came. So, because technically Carr is a senior, I think I remember reading where he held back.
He's older for his age. Yeah,
exactly. So,
or older for his grade. I'm sorry.
Hey, the quarterback room is wide open. CJ Carr, it's like if he could come now. I don't think the Buckner injury has anything to do with it because he has a history of some injuries. So if Buckner does come back, the quarterback room is going to be like, hey, whoever's number 2, you're just a snap away because Buckner's going to run ISO and something's going to happen. Or, and whatnot, or gets a sore hamstring and he's out, things of that nature. So I don't think anything happens with Buckner is going to affect CJ Carr. I don't believe so.
Well, let me interject. If I'm
Sure.
Carr, again, this is so speculatory in nature.
Yes.
This is just Mike Singer talking to Tim Hyde with our Notre Dame family hanging out. I'm thinking, I mean, the last you saw of Buckner was Marshall. Like, that's it. Yeah. I would assume if Carr's reclassifying, he probably wouldn't also be able to enroll early because that's skipping 3 semesters now.
Yeah.
So Carr could legitimately fight for the starting job, because if it's like, all right, we've seen the last of Buckner for the season, so he's not going to show out because he can't. He's hurt.
Yes.
Pine, do you believe in Pine being some world beater that if he just, tears it up, then he's definitely the guy next year? Like, do you believe in that? It's like legitimately be fighting for the starting job. But I would
agree.
But now, as I'm talking about it more, it would be tough to be a true freshman coming in the summer and then starting a couple months later. That's
true. No, exactly. Because if he's reclassifying, I thought it's been talked about or whatnot. It's been rumored out there. Like, I don't know of any. I don't think JT Daniels went in early. I think he had to finish all the way to June, and then he went.
Because then you're skipping. Yeah, Daniels reclassified early at USC. But you when you enroll early, you're skipping your spring semester as a senior. You're graduating in December. So now we're talking skipping his whole senior year and a semester of junior year. That's gonna.
Could he come? If CJ Carr does this, are they expecting where his school and Notre Dame is going to accept all his credits and his high school and all that stuff to where CJ Carr can come in January? If CJ Carr can come,
I don't think so. No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think so. That'd be skipping 3 semesters. That'd be
no. I hear you. So that means CJ Carr is going to come, next June after his year, do the summer workouts with the guys, start competing, do the 7-on-7s, which every D1 school does. The workouts without the coaches and things of that nature. He's going to be right there. Buckner has a history of injuries. CJ Carr's got to feel he's better than Drew Pine, even though Pine may have 10, 11 starts under his belt this year. But Pine's a senior next year as well. So Pine may be the guy next year, let's say, and then something's going to happen, somewhere, somehow. So I don't think CJ Carr is worried about who's on Notre Dame's campus now. I think CJ Carr could come in there and easily work himself up into the top 2, meaning, you're right there to go get some playing time as a true freshman. What does that do for the Notre Dame team and the schedule if they have to play a true freshman next year? Those are issues we'll worry about down the road.
Would you like to see them get a transfer?
That's a great question there. You got 2 things. If CJ Carr is like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna stay till 2020. If CJ Carr stays until 2024, they gotta get a guy. Bar none. They have to go get a guy immediately because the injury situation and Jelly, Pine. But so much of this, Mike, is going to be between now and when when Notre Dame goes to the Coliseum. Yep. So much is going to be had. But I think the transfer portal for a quarterback is going to be dictated on what CJ Carr does. I really do. Because if Carr wants to come, Buckner will be back. Buckner's going to be there in the spring. He'll probably be ready for bowl practices and stuff of that nature. And then you got Angeli, Pine got reps this year. Carr, and then you're going to have 4 quarterbacks, 4 scholarship quarterbacks. That's going to be tough to go get a transfer quarterback. Buckner started 2 games. Pine started 10. Let's just knock on wood. He starts the rest of this year. You bring in a quarterback that just take over for those guys. That's tough.
I don't know. I still feel like if Carr reclassifies, you could still get a transfer quarterback. Look at what they're doing at the kicker position and punter. All of the competition, they're bringing in all sorts of transfers and walk-ons, but still, why can't we have this a little bit? Let the best man win.
True.
If I'm a transfer, I'm like, okay, Ron Paulus beat him out. Drew Pine could beat him out. CJ Carr is supposed to be senior in high school, and it's just. Me and a guy coming off of shoulder surgery,
who's had major
Notre Dame also, just bring in competition. I mean, it is what it is. If guys can transfer out very easily, why not bring more in to battle for this competition? Because you could
posted.
be down Drew Pine or Tyler Buckner next year. Like who the heck knows?
I know.
I think right now we're seeing why Notre Dame should have gotten a transfer in the offseason, but Notre Dame didn't, and I know they could have gotten somebody pretty good, and they didn't. They didn't want to disrupt this room.
Yeah,
and this is what happens.
Well, with CJ Carr, let's say CJ Carr does come in 2023. Do they just be like, hey, let's just bring him in to redshirt him, get his feet wet, do all those things, as we prepare for, 2024, let's say, and get him ready with these young guys and prep them. So do they go out and find another Jack Cohn, a guy who's played in some big games this year, a lot of really good experience that they know could come in and be that older dude in the quarterback room? Will it be disruptive? Heck yeah, it will, especially if Pine starts 10 games and they're going out and getting a quarterback. Yes, that's gonna, poke that little bear in that quarterback room without a doubt. But is it a quarterback that's going to come in and be the dude right away? That's why Freeman gets paid big bucks and has to figure that out, what's best for him and his football program.
Don't sleep on my boy Steve Angeli. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think anyone's going to sleep. No, exactly. I don't think
anyone's everybody. Don't do it.
Not everyone's going to sleep on Angeli, but man, we're going to see a heck of a lot. These next 10 games. Which, hey, Mike, we've talked real quick for all the fans out there in blue and gold, world out there. I mean, what can this team do? What's a good season? As you've mentioned a handful of times. What are we looking at?
I don't know. Do you remember when I got mocked for my 7-5 floor?
See, that's what I don't ever see. People went after you, and it's like that was the bottom guys. He said 7-5 and now, is the worst case.
Now it's 3-9. Seriously, if Notre Dame sucks offensively and can't score because everyone's just going to load the box, come after Pine, the offensive line's leaky, receivers can't get open, running game. Is it just UNLV? And that's the floor. Everyone's going to figure out 3-9. I'm not saying 3-9. I think they're going to go 8-4, 7-5-ish. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're talking about Notre Dame and 8-4 and 7-5 after how good they've been, dude. This is crazy. They lost to Marshall. Holy crap!
But hey, we talked about a week or two ago about how Brian Kelly, people aren't Brian, number one, people aren't Brian Kelly fans because he went to another job. If Brian Kelly retired and he's at a beach,
I disagree. I think it's because he went to a different job and then was a little turd. He was a
I hear you.
But continue.
No, I was going to say, if Brian Kelly retired after last year, he's on a beach. Yeah, the vitriol wouldn't be so crazyville out there. But they were this close to being in this situation last year. I mean, last second field goal obviously beat FSU, Toledo, Va Tech. Now they were in those situations because of the defensive coordinator, and the defense was so leaky and got gashed for big plays last year. Freeman taking over as the D coordinator were put in those situations, but they won those games. And if all they had to do on Saturday is catch one deep pass, they win this game 25-16 or whatever the heck it is. And we just be talking about, hey, Notre Dame needs to fix 1,000 issues still, but they're 1-1, which is a completely different world. So these next 10 games, I feel, man, I'm knocking on wood, 8-4 going to the Camping World Bowl, Mayo Bowl, whatever the heck it is. I don't like mayonnaise, so I don't want to see Freeman get doused by mayonnaise. That would really not be fun. I don't want to do a show after that, so hopefully it's not that bowl. But 8-4 would be an amazing accomplishment. But that's going 8-2, Mike, the rest of the way.
With Clemson and USC on schedule, so yeah, definitely a tough
BYU, who just beat Baylor.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So tough schedule for Notre Dame the rest of the way. The parallels to last year's schedule at Florida State and at Ohio State, right? Then you got the group of 5 at home.
Yep.
And then you played Jack Plummer and Purdue last year at home. And then game 3 this year playing Jack Plummer with Cal. So just pointing that out. Well, folks, here's the lineup. Wednesday, We'll have some kind of YouTube content, I'm sure. Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, recruiting live show. Friday, final thoughts, observations, and prediction with Tim Hyde and myself. And Saturday, we'll be live on YouTube right after the game. So make sure you lock in on our YouTube channel here. Hit the thumbs up on all of our content you watch. Subscribe to our channel. Head to blueandgold.com. $1 for 1 year of premium access. And as always, folks, we really appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.